After the glory of the Middle Kingdom, Egypt weakened again. The economy collapsed, chaos filled the country, and the kings were powerless. But Al-Maradi, the danger wasn't just from within. From the east, a strange enemy emerged, the Hyksos. They came with war chariots and bronze weapons, things the Egyptians had never seen before. In a short time, they controlled the delta. For the first time in Egypt's long history, the Egyptians were doomed to live under the rule of foreigners. But was this the end? No. From the heart of defeat, Egypt began to prepare itself anew, and from the ashes would rise the greatest military power known to the pharaohs, the New Kingdom.
After Egypt weakened and the power of the kings declined, the eastern borders opened up, not to massive armies, but to waves of foreigners, people coming from Canaan and Palestine. At first, they were traders, entering with ease, carrying goods with them, buying and selling. Later, they became immigrants looking for fertile land and security. The Egyptians saw them and said, "It's normal." But the strange thing was that their numbers began to increase and their influence grew. Amid the chaos in which Egypt was immersed, these small groups transformed into a terrifying force. And suddenly, the Egyptians found themselves faced with a new people called the Hyksos. The Hyksos didn't just bring swords, they brought technology that changed everything. The war chariot, which made battle faster and more dangerous. Curved bronze swords, more powerful than the Egyptians' daggers. Composite bows, striking from afar with deadly accuracy. The Hyksos chose the city of Avaris in the eastern delta and made it their capital. From there, they declared themselves rulers of the land of the Pharaohs. Imagine, the Egyptian who considered himself master of the world suddenly became ruled by strangers? The shock was more powerful than the occupation itself. But the story isn't over yet. This is just the beginning, and a conflict that would change the fate of Egypt was still to come.
After long years of humiliation and Hyksos domination, anger was boiling in the hearts of the people of Thebes in Upper Egypt. The people there couldn't bear the idea of strangers ruling the land of the pharaohs. Seqenenre Tao, the first to ignite the spark, the king who said enough and decided to confront the Hyksos with his small army. The battle was brutal, and his skull, which has been found to this day bearing fractures from swords and axes, testifies that he fought to his last breath. Seqenenre Tao fell, but the fire of resistance ignited. Ahmose. After him came his son Ahmose. He continued the war against the Hyksos, struck them in the heart of Avaris and cut off their supply routes. He achieved important victories, but he couldn't finish them off completely. Ahmose I. And here comes the big scene, the young Ahmose I. He inherited courage from his father and brother and added a new military mind and organization. He formed a strong army, trained it on the same weapons as the Hyksos, chariots and long swords. He began the decisive campaign, battle after battle, until he was able to expel the Hyksos from the delta, pursuing them as far as Palestine and Syria. And in the end, around 1550 BC, Egypt was returned to its owners. The Hyksos were expelled and victory was achieved. The beginning of an age of glory. From blood and sacrifice, the 18th dynasty arose, and with it, the new kingdom was born. The era that would witness the greatest names of the pharaohs, Thutmose, Hatshepsut, and Ramesses. This story is not just a war. It was a rebirth for Egypt.
After Egypt expelled the invaders, it wasn't satisfied with liberation. It decided to become a superpower, its name resounding throughout the world. Thutmose III, Egypt's Napoleon, the king who was born a warrior. He fought 17 military campaigns, the most famous of which was the Battle of Megiddo. This battle was written in detail on temple walls, the first time history recorded a complete battle. After that, he extended his influence to Palestine and Syria, reaching the Euphrates River. The Egyptian empire was literally at its peak. Hatshepsut, the woman who sat on the throne of the pharaohs. She ruled for about 20 years, but she didn't choose war. She chose trade. Her most famous expedition was to the land of Punt, in Africa. She brought back incense, ivory, wood, and a huge fortune. She left all of this depicted on the walls of her temple at Deir el-Bahari. His era was peaceful, but his glory lives on to this day. Amenhotep III, the pharaoh of wealth and art. In his era, Egypt reached the pinnacle of wealth. He built huge temples and colossal statues, like the Colossi of Memnon. Thebes at that time became a global center of art and beauty. Akhenaten, the rebel, decided to turn the world upside down, saying, "There is only one God, Aten, the sun god." He moved the capital to a new location and named it Akhetaten. But this experiment, despite its strangeness and boldness, weakened Egypt from the outside. The princes in Asia rebelled, and Egypt's influence began to wane. Tutankhamun, the child pharaoh, reinstated the worship of the old gods. But his life was short. He died young, and yet he remained the most famous pharaoh. Why? Because his tomb, found intact in the Valley of the Kings, an amazing treasure, immortalized his name more than any other king. Ramesses II, the Great. He ruled for more than 60 years. He led the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, a massive battle that ended with the first written peace treaty in history. He built the greatest temples, such as Abu Simbel and the Ramesseum. Ramses was a symbol of a powerful Egypt, one that everyone feared to approach. From Thutmose to Ramesses, this was the age of true glory. Egypt at that time was not just a country, it was an empire that shook the world. But behind this glory, there were challenges lurking, waiting for the moment when history would turn the page.